With us now is Joe Oliver, a friend of George Zimmerman's who spoke with him over the weekend. Joe, good to have you with us this morning. As I understand it, you have decided to speak out on your own, not because George Zimmerman asked you to. When you spoke with him on Saturday, what did he tell you specifically about his interaction with Trayvon Martin and what happened leading up to this young man's death?
I can't get into the specifics of that because that's the evidence that's going to be presented before the grand jury. And that's one of the reasons why this has exploded to the level that it has. Historically, Florida law enforcement has been very forthcoming with any evidence that they have in a criminal case, particularly when they have an arrest and particularly when they have evidence to make an arrest. Casey Anthony being the point in example. I don't understand why this is so different. I can only guess that the reason why is because it's the Sanford Police Department, which has a history of racial tension. The police chief, Lee, from my understanding, that was part of the reason why he was hired to become the police chief in Sanford, to try and heal the wounds between the community and the police department. And until this incident, it's my understanding that that was happening. I mean, and that's another reason why we've seen this go from a police investigation and handed over to the local state's attorney, who was passing it on to the next state's attorney, and now we have a grand jury. And until this evidence is out, I mean, we're going to continue to see this frustration. We're all frustrated. I had a chance to speak with Reverend Jackson this morning, excuse me, before I came in to explain to him that this incident on its own is not a racial incident. This story is a racial story, and he's right. I mean, it has sparked a dialogue that needs to be made because I live with what they're talking about every day. But in this particular instance, when it involves this happening, it was not racially motivated.
So you say it was not racially motivated, and I know you've said that you can't say certain things because of the grand jury, but can you give us any indication? We've heard the 911 tape so many times where the dispatcher says you do not need to follow him. Did you get any indication why George Zimmerman did follow Trayvon Martin?
Well, that's just it. We don't know how far or if he actually did follow Trayvon.
But did you ask him in your conversation with him when you had that conversation?
We don't know. When I had that conversation, he was not following Trayvon Martin. When I had that conversation with him, he had not seen Trayvon Martin before he did that happened, okay? There's a gap from the time that George got out of the vehicle and that the gun went off, that we don't know what happened. And that's the evidence that's going to be presented to the grand jury. The hard part about this is that myself, his attorney, George, he wants to tell
Mr. Oliver, may I just ask one question?
But he's been instructed not to.
Mr. Oliver, one question.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Have you talked to Mr. Zimmerman over the weekend? Did you talk to him over the weekend?
Yes, I did, and that's why I'm sitting here now. I talked to him over the weekend because the information that I had received was through his mother-in-law.
All right.
And I needed it validated in order for me to put myself in the crossfire, because I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't believe what happened.
Thank you for coming.